Let's get into Downtown Hockeytown, presented by Labatt Blue Light. Today's guest is Alan LeTang, and he's the head coach of the OHL's Owen Sound Attack. Oh, Alan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excellent.
We appreciate you joining us, and I kind of want to kick this off by telling us a little bit about yourself. For people who may not know who you are, what do you do with Hockey Team Canada, and then as well as the Owen Sound Attack?
Yeah, well, I spend my summers in Sarnia, Ontario, just across from Port Huron. I've been 5 seasons with the Owen Sound Attack in the OHL, 2 seasons or 3 seasons as an assistant coach, and then 2 seasons as the head coach. I've worked for quite a few years now with Hockey Canada in their development process through U17, U18, and then this past Christmas at the U20 tournament in Ostrava. So I've been fortunate enough to have a lengthy playing career, and it's kind of just followed into a little bit of a coaching career that hopefully I can continue to build on.
Alan, you have seen some of the Red Wings' current prospects come through, including Joe Veleno and Jared McIsaac, who were actually a part of Canada's World Junior Championship team earlier this year. Let's stick on Joe Veleno specifically for a minute. He's a really exciting prospect for the Red Wings. From what you've seen of him, what type of player is he?
Yeah, I mean, a great kid. He came over as one of the few returning players to that U20 team, and really took a huge leadership role with Jared and with Barrett Hayton. So I know the coaching staff and myself, we relied on him heavily. He was kind of that utility guy. He played up and down our lineup when we needed guys. Won a lot of key faceoffs. Ran our power play, killed some penalties for us. We got into the semifinals and finals. He was in charge of more of a shutdown role too. So just a real good kid. Works really hard. Thinks the game really well. I don't think he's the flashiest skater, but you know what? Sometimes you can think yourself around the ice, and when you can make those little soft plays and read the ice well, he's going to have a nice career to follow.
Do you think he has the talent to make it to the Red Wings next season?
Yeah, I would have thought that right after the tournament, before all this stuff has happened. I'm not sure how they're going to progress with not being able to maybe have training camps, with guys not being able to train the way they normally would. With gyms being closed. I know a lot of our kids are doing virtual workouts, and you're kind of limited to what you can do at home, so you can't really get the gains or the development that you would. I'm hoping, hopefully, July, August, things kind of get back to normal, and these kids can really push for a training camp. And that's where, as coaches and GMs, you really want to see what a kid's like in exhibition. You want to see what he's like as he develops through that training camp. And I think it's going to put a few of those bubble kids in a position where it's easier for a team to say, go back down and develop a little bit quicker, and we'll kind of see how you start there. And who even knows if the American League's gonna start on time. So it's, with all this uncertainty, I think it'd be tough for those kids to stay highly motivated like they normally do through a summer.
Let's switch gears a little bit, Al, and talk about the upcoming NHL draft and some of the prospects. The Red Wings are in a really good position. They have a really good shot at getting the number one overall pick, which everyone thinks is going to be Alexis Lafreniere, which you also have had some experience with. We've heard of how special he is as a player, but kind of describe your experiences with him. And do you think he is going to be that number one pick?
Yeah, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, I think he is the consensus number one. There's lots of talent. Quentin Byfield's got that size at center. He's got that raw talent, but Alexei's he was a go-to for us. He came up big for us. He's come up big numerous times for his team. Loves the game, thinks the game, lives and breathes the game. There's not a day that I saw him at the rink that he wasn't smiling, wasn't talking hockey, wasn't laughing, wasn't kind of businesslike at times. So he's that mold of Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, all those guys, Dylan Larkins, that just they just love hockey, and they just live and breathe it. And not saying that the other guys don't, but I think he's the clear cut. And there's some good players, Jamie Drysdale. I said Byfield earlier. There's the Tim Stutzel. He's a German guy. Maybe Detroit goes that way now that they have Moritz Seider. Maybe they need another German connection up there.
It's really interesting. I wanted to get back before we get into some today's prospects. Jared McIsaac, another guy. I go back to that 2018 draft when the Red Wings got Zadina, Veleno, Bergeron and then McIsaac, they thought that they had 4 number ones, and Bergeron and McIsaac were taken in the second round. McIsaac had the shoulder surgery. It's kind of I can say the word on Woodward. I can't say shoulder surgery, but with that said, I'm kind of curious. I know the Red Wings were hoping that he would be ready for the World Juniors, which he was. He was in Halifax. He was traded. What can you tell us about him? Because obviously the Red Wings are very, very high on Jared McIsaac.
Yeah, another great kid, and like you said, he came off that shoulder surgery. I think he had played 2 exhibition games before he came into our training camp, and he was another guy that was one of the few returning players that our World Junior team had. So they were hoping, and we were kind of praying that he was going to be that anchor on the back end with Ty Smith. And there's always that reluctance when you come in, only have played 2 games, but as our camp progressed, as the tournament progressed, he just got stronger and stronger. And another guy, he thinks the game. He's not the bruising physical defenseman, but the game's kind of trended the other way where he just moves pucks. He skates well. He's got a great stick off the rush. And again, he anchored with Ty Smith, that decor for us. And willing to block shots, all those little intangibles that GMs and coaches love. And like you said, that the Red Wings are a pretty exciting team coming up with all those young prospects. Maurice Seider is a very special kid. We would have loved Stevie Y to send him to Owen Sound this year, but he kept him in Grand Rapids, unfortunately. He would have played like 30 minutes for me, probably.
Was there any discussion? Was there any discussion about, did you, lobbying Steve Yzerman, I would imagine, would be pretty hard once his mind is made up. but was there talk of, because I know it was Germany or the O or Grand Rapids where he ended up staying. How much of a possibility was that?
Well, we were always hoping. I'm not sure. I think our GM, Dale DeGray, called him a couple times just to kind of feel him out. But I don't think there was any doubt that he was probably not coming back to junior. But we were kind of hoping, saying, hey, listen, if you're looking for a guy to play all situations, learn how to play, 27 minutes a night for us and come. But it was pretty tough for me to call, my childhood idol, Steve Yzerman, up and say, hey, you got a defenseman there that I'd love to, kind of develop for you. But I left that up to Dale DeGray, and we kept our fingers crossed until we got the final word.
So the Red Wings are in position to get another great pick with their first round pick. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. We don't know which one yet. But you mentioned guys like Quinton Byfield and Jamie Drysdale, Tim Stützle, and we already talked about Alexis Lafreniere. When you look at that group of guys, it could be the top 4. That's kind of what we're assuming right there. But do you think all of those guys could make an immediate impact in the NHL?
I think all of those guys have good potential to have very long careers. We talked about, Alex. We talked about Quinton's upside. Like, not very often you find a 6'4" center that has size already. As he develops and as he gets older and more mature, he's just going to get stronger, and he's going to be that imposing guy at center, like a Kopitar type guy, right? Just with that big. You've got a Jamie Drysdale, who's another puck moving defenseman that's ultra smart. I think he's so smart the way he, comes in at that age and the way he produced at the World Junior Championship for us. He's got a bright career. So really anywhere from 1 to 4, you're going to get a pretty special prospect. That the German kid, Tim Stützle, high skill, very dynamic, challenges guys one-on-one, very exciting player. So really it's how you want to break your team down, what you're looking for in that draft. And I think any team would be over the moon to have a top 4 pick and really take their choice at what they're looking for.
If they fall to 4 and they end up getting Jamie Drysdale, everything I have heard, Alan, is he is a definitive number 1 defenseman in the NHL. He's not a 1 or a 2. He is a number 1. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think that's a pretty clear assessment. Like I talked about how smart this kid was, and how he skates, he closes time and space. His gap, his skating is incredible. You look at some of those high octane teams like Colorado with Makar, and they have Girard, and if you move the puck from the back end and you never spend time in your own zone because it's going the other way with smart defensemen, McIsaac, Seider, Drysdale, you're a pretty tough team to play, and you've got you know, a pretty exciting back end to go forward with, right, and getting pucks into your forwards' hands. So, you know, teams are starting to build from the back end out, and you know, to have three pretty legit prospects that way, and then plus what they have in Grand Rapids, they could really fill out the back end well.
So we've talked about these top prospects that we all already know about. We're heading into this draft. Is there anybody that would be sort of a hidden gem, or somebody that's not talked about as much that you're looking forward to seeing where they go and what they do in the NHL?
There's some of those intangibles, right? You have the Russian goalie out of Askarov. He was that high end prospect that didn't have the tournament he wanted. Dropped a little bit in the draft. There's always some of those European players that sneak into the draft. You know, Sweden's got the two Raymond kids. You know, are they potentially the new Sedins? That kind of stuff. There's some interesting talent level in this draft. I think teams in the first round, lots of high end right up until, you know, the end of the first round moving forward. So it'll be very interesting. It's too bad that you know, like I said, you don't get to go see it live, and it might be just done online, because you won't get the buzz when you're there, and those kids won't feel that buzz when they're in there. But there'll be some maneuvering. There'll for sure be some teams moving up to grab prospects that they want, and it'll be I think there could be potentially lots of movement in this year's draft.
Thank you, Alan. Great to have you. And a big thank you to our friends at Labatt Blue Light for presenting Downtown Hockeytown this week and every week here on The Word on Woodward. Labatt Blue Light, refreshing Canadian Pilsner. Visit your local retailer when safe to pick up some Labatt Blue Light.